Well, you think the focus would be on Rex Heuermann as he went into court just this last week for initial hearing on the charges against him and the accusations of him being the Gilgo Beach serial killer, the Long Island serial killer. But unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, depending on what optics you're going for when you're the criminal defendant in this case, it was on Asa Ellerup, his wife. She made an appearance in court, and she also brought a camera crew this time to help document the blessed occasion of trying to see your husband in court being charged with killing hookers. What's your thoughts on all this? I mean, Asa's been an odd duck to begin with. Again, everybody deals with grief and trauma differently. I'm guessing this is a woman who's seen a lot of it in her time. But showing up with the camera crew when you've been complaining about being the media following you, asking questions, and now they're literally part of you, literally.
Yeah,
Thoughts?
yeah, yeah. There's got to be a self-serving motivation, I think, for that. It's just, again, it's another layer of strange
Yeah,
with this. We end up using the term odd duck a lot, don't we? And yes, that
very
certainly
much.
fits for her.
Yeah.
And so my first thought is there a financial gain for her with this? And so is this in essence being scripted by somebody who's producing a documentary for this
Hmm.
network? Because again, there's been this shift from filing for divorce immediately, talking about how shocked she was, looking, that like she was so depressed and incapacitated by it, to now showing up, smiling at him in court with a camera crew and saying she just is there to learn about the evidence. So yeah, it's just another layer of
It,
strange.
it it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Obviously, sometimes with time, maybe things get a little bit easier to handle, to deal with. Do you think that's what's going on here, where the immediate reaction was, "I'm getting divorced," and very upset? Now it's like, yeah, she's kind of making eyes at him in court and wants to see the evidence for herself. What?
Yeah, I can't imagine that any, we'll say within normal limits person
Hmm.
would, even a few months, even a few years later, be over the shock, horror, terror, life altering news that your husband of all these years was a murderer.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't imagine any of us in that situation where 3 or 4 months later, 6 months later, we're just like, okay, I'm willing to have a talk with him about all this.
Mhm.
It really seems to me that finances have been a concern for her from the beginning of this, and I understand finances would be a concern, but this is again in the weird category, which makes one question what kind of mental health problems she might have.
Yeah.
And yes, she could have PTSD from trauma living with an abusive man. We don't know that, but that's possible. She may have some cognitive impairments too, and be influenced, and who knows, the layers of what we can speculate about what could be going on are deep. But it definitely is, I don't think, again, always trying to put myself in other people's shoes, I cannot fathom
Mhm.
signing up with a documentary crew and going in and handling it like that. I think to go in and speak with him, she may have, I can see it being a normal response to say, I need to tell him how awful this is. I need
Yeah.
to tell him I'm devastated. I want to tell him why I'm divorcing him.
Sure.
In that way, we can see that would be the normal closure kind of process. Maybe I need to ask him face to face, did you do this? I mean, we can fathom that.
Mhm.
But layering on a documentary and going to the hearing and smiling at him, this has just gotten too weird.
If I mean, if you were to advise her on, I mean, what should she be doing? And so it's not really a guidebook to anything like this. With, hey, you just found out your husband's a serial killer
There's
allegedly.
a book, self-help guide when your husband is arrested for serial murder. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think a normal person in this kind of situation would want as much distance as possible.
Mhm.
They would want to get out of that home. They would want to get their children away from the news, which is traumatizing to the kids. The filing for immediate divorce, I completely understand. But my advice to them would be you've got to separate as much as you can you've got to break the ties, if there were emotional ties with that person, you're going to need help severing that,
Mhm.
because that if that continues, that's going to be a constant source of pain and betrayal. And then you sort of have to rewrite your life. You have to begin again. And that doesn't seem to be what's happening here.
No, it doesn't. We'll have to see where this continues to lead. Still, apparently not being questioned by police either. That other part of it to me that just doesn't make
Weird,
any sense.
weird,
And that's
weird.
beyond her
Yeah,
control too. I mean, that's not her fault or doing. That just doesn't make sense. Another layer
yeah.
to this case that, yeah, just keep shaking your head at. Hey, it's Tony Brueski. If you want more of our interview with our guests, be sure to check out our podcast, Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski. Just search that wherever you download podcasts and press subscribe. Also, you can check out our YouTube channel for the full video version of the interviews as well, under the same name, Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski. Check it out, subscribe, binge, and enjoy. Thanks for watching.